How to be a hero, Hunter, level 1 character creation for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition today on Dungeons and Taverns. Hi, I'm Chad Reed, or as I'm better known online as Saul Sunforge, and this is Dungeons and Taverns, a place you can come for players and DMs, new and veterans alike, for tips and tricks, as well as new homebrew, my opinions, maps, a lot of free things. So if those are things that you're interested in, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and let your friends know. Today's video is the last in a series that I've been running for a while now, probably longer than I should have because I've been quite busy. But So You Want to Be a Hero, where I create a level 1 character for you, and you can follow along to create your own characters of that class as well. Today is the last one. It's a hunter for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, so let's go ahead and start that. Alright, first things up is you want to pick a race. And for our hunter, we're going to pick a lizard man. We're going to name him Iggy, because I feel like that's a pretty good name for a lizard. So page 113 of Volos, here you see that they get a constitution increase of 2 and a wisdom score of 1. So we're going to go ahead and put those on our character sheets now. Alright, so lizard folk mature at 14 and they live to about 60 years old. So we're going to go ahead and make Iggy 25 years old. How about that? Alright, so lizard folk are about the same size as humans. So we'll go ahead and make it 6 feet even. They have a lot of scales and frill and things. So we'll say that he's 170 pounds. Eyes, we'll go ahead and give him yellow eyes because they are not human in nature. Color, go ahead and, I guess, green, blue. Sounds like a decent combo. And hair, I could see them with like an orange tuft of hair, or red, orange. There we go. And there we go. There's Iggy. All right, so Iggy is gonna be chaotic neutral. Lizard folk tend towards neutral as they just prefer to leave people alone. They think of the world in black and white, predator and prey. And so he's going to be chaotic neutral. The speed, I believe, is it 30? Yep, 30. Yep, they have a walking speed of 30 and a swim speed of 30, so remember that. We'll go ahead and put in here that they get a bite attack. It is 1d6 piercing, plus your strength modifier. We haven't rolled the strength stat yet, so we don't know what it is to add it. So let's go ahead and roll our stats up now, though, since we need them. Alright, so we roll 4d6, and we drop the lowest. If the score is too low, then we re-roll it. That's how we do it. So let's go ahead and roll 4d6 now. Alright, so that's a 10. A 13 is another 13. Oh, 17. Alright, so we get 2 more to roll. There's a 17. Oh, that's a reroll. Alright, an 11. Alright, so here is our original base numbers. I put them over here in the margins, and then I put the number next to the category, so this way you can change the numbers around however you see fit if you wish to. Oops, I realized I made a mistake here. I've been saying hunter, and the class is actually ranger, but you can see how I can make that mistake. Old school, they were called hunters, and in a lot of games, hunter and ranger is interchangeable. So I apologize. I changed it to ranger. So for a ranger, you want to have higher wisdom, constitution, dexterity. Your strength, it matters, but it doesn't matter as much as a straight melee class. Although as a ranger, you can mix it up on the front lines if you wish to. And I always wish to. We'll go ahead and put a 17 in dex. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put the other 17 here in wisdom. So that's going to turn the 17 into an 18 over here. And then we'll get rid of the 17 that's up here. All right, so we have a 13, 13, 11, and a 10 left. All right, so now since we have the 13, 13, 11, and a 10 left, let's go ahead and just place these because we got most of our important stuff taken care of. We'll go ahead and put a 13 in here, so that'll make the Constitution a 15. And then we'll go ahead and put a 13 under Strength, 11 under Intelligence, and 10 under Charisma. Alright, so now that we got that taken care of, the proficiency bonus at level 1 is a 2. So let's go ahead and write that in. Let's go ahead and figure out our modifiers here. So you take any odd numbers, you round it down to the even number, the next even number, and then you divide it in half and subtract 5. Alright, so we'll do it real slow first, and then we'll do it fast. Alright, so 13 rounded down to the nearest even number would be 12. 12 and a half is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. Alright, so 17 rounded down is 16. Half is 8. Minus 5 is a 3. Alright, 15 and a half rounded down is 14 and a half. 7 minus 5 is a 2. 11 rounded down to 10 and a half is 5. Minus 5 is a 0. 18 doesn't need rounded, so it just needs halved. 9 minus 5 is a 4. 10 and a half is 5. Minus 5 is 0. And so there you go. There's the bonuses. Alright, so now that we figure out all of our bonuses, we can go down to our attack bonus here for our bite. And we're proficient in bite because it's our own natural attack. So you add your proficiency bonus plus your strength. That's how you get your attack bonus for melee weapons. For dexterity-based weapons, such as ranged weapons, you take your proficiency bonus and add your dex. So in that case, if our bite was ranged, it would be a plus 5, not a plus 3. So then when you add your damage for your bite, you add just your strength. And if the bite was at a range, you add just your dex bonus. So it's without your proficiency, basically. The hit points for a ranger, the hit dice is a D10. So they get 10 plus their con at first level. At first level, you get your max. So you get 12. 10 plus 2 is 12. And then at each other level, you roll your D10, or you could take a 6 if you want to take the average, which, depending on how you roll, I would probably suggest doing. But more or less, you're going to come out to around that 6 average every time. Our initiative, without feats, our initiative is just the dexterity score carried over. So when your dungeon master tells you to roll initiative, which is almost always going to be before combat starts, you add that number to your D20 dice roll. So if your initiative is a plus 3, because our dex bonus is a 3, and you roll a 17, that means your initiative is a 20. 17 plus 3 is 20. Rangers are proficient with their strength and their dexterity saving throws. We'll fill those out here after we pick our background, because our backgrounds can change some of the stats for our saving throws or our skills or things like that. So we do that next. But before we do all that, let's go ahead and go through all the ranger archetypes, so this way you can get a synopsis of what they are and then go pick out one for yourself. Just like the other classes have colleges and traditions and schools, rangers have archetypes. The first one up is on page 94. It is called the Hunter. Emulating the hunter archetype means accepting your place as a bulwark between civilization and the terrors of the wilderness. As you walk the hunter's path, you learn specialized techniques for fighting the threats you face, from rampaging ogres and hordes of orcs to towering giants and terrifying dragons. So the hunter is the archetypical ranger that most people think of. You know, you're out in the wildlands or the forests and you're tracking down large beasts. And then if you look at some of the hunter's abilities here later on, Colossus Slayer, it gives you an extra 1d8 damage if a creature is below its hit point maximum. So other than that first attack, you are going to be able to deal this Colossus Slayer additional damage every time. You can definitely see how that's beneficial to you, right? An extra 1d8 damage that you just get. Now, the Ranger picks their archetype at 3rd level, so these are considerations you don't need to make just yet, but they're good to think of, and that's why I cover them in every one of these walkthroughs that I do. So the next archetype is called the Beastmaster, and essentially it is what you think of the Ranger in terms of maybe World of Warcraft, where you get your pet to go with you, a pet lion or bear, and you both attack together. And we have here on page 41 of Xanthar's Guide to Everything, the Gloomstalker. Gloomstalkers are at home in the darkest places deep under the earth, in gloomy alleyways, in primeval forests, and wherever else the light dims. Most folks enter such places with trepidation, but a Gloomstalker ventures boldly into the darkness and seeks to ambush threats before they can reach the broader world. Such rangers are found in the Underdark, but they will go any place where evil lurks in the shadows. So we look down here and we see that the Gloomstalker gets a few different magical things. Their dark vision is increased. They seem pretty good, but I wouldn't say that they're my favorite in terms of the types of rangers so far that we reviewed. Then we have Horizon Walker. Horizon Walkers guard the world against threats that originate from other planes or that seek to ravage the mortal realm with otherworldly magic. They seek out planar portals and keep watch over them, venturing to the inner planes and the outer planes as needed to pursue their foes. These rangers are also friends to any forces in the multiverse, especially benevolent dragons, fae, and elementals that work to preserve life and order of the planes. So this seems more of like a Harper role. They also get spells at 3rd level, just like the Gloomstalker did. And then they also can detect planar portals within 1 mile. So depending on type of campaign you're running, if you're playing in a campaign where there's multiple world travels through different planar gates and things like that, I could see that being a very useful ability to find hidden portals and things. Alright, then this next one we have here in Xanthar's is the Monster Slayer. You have dedicated yourself to hunting down creatures of the night and wielders of grim magic. A Monster Slayer seeks out vampires, dragons, evil fae, fiends, and other magical threats. Trained in supernatural techniques to overcome such monsters, Slayers are experts at unearthing and defeating mighty mystical foes. This archetype to me seems like if you're trying to play a Geralt of Rivia type character. And then here we have at 3rd level they also get Hunter's Sense, which gives them they can use an action to any creature you can see that's within 60 feet. You get to discern its weaknesses, like its damage immunities, resistances, vulnerabilities, and that is extremely useful, especially if you happen to be fighting a legendary creature. Alright, and finally we have here Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, page 58, the Fey Wanderer. A Fey mystique surrounds you, thanks to the boon of an archfey, the shining fruit you ate from a talking tree, the magic spring you swam in, or some other auspicious event. However you acquired your Fey magic, you are now a Fey Wanderer, a ranger who represents both the mortal and the Fey realms. As you wander the multiverse, your joyful laughter brightens the hearts of the downtrodden. Your martial prowess strikes terror in your foes, for great is the mirth of the Fey, and dreadful is their fury. Let's see here. You get Dreadful Strikes. You deal 1d4 psychic damage to the target. Once you reach 11th level, the damage increases to 1d6. And psychic damage is very rarely ever resisted, so keep that in mind. Next up, we have the Swarm Keeper. Feeling a deep connection to the environment around them, some rangers reach out through their magical connection to the world and bond with a swarm of nature spirits. The swarm becomes a potent force in battle, as well as helpful company for the ranger. Some swarm keepers are outcasts or hermits, keeping to themselves and their attendant swarms rather than dealing with The discomfort of others. Other swarm keepers enjoy building vibrant communities that work for the mutual benefit of those they consider part of their swarm. And then we see here, it's your swarm. A swarm keeper's swarm and spells are reflections of the character's bond with nature spirits. Take the opportunity to describe the swarm and the ranger's magic in play. For example, when your ranger casts gaseous form, they might appear to melt into the swarm instead of a cloud of mist. Or the arcane eye spell could create an extension of your swarm that spies for you. Such descriptions don't change the effects of the spells, but they're an exciting opportunity to explore your character's narrative through their class abilities. And I encourage you to do that with every single class, every single time that you can, if you wish to. Getting into your character is what makes tabletop role-playing so special. Looking down here into the Swarm Keeper, it actually looks rather cool. At first, it's kind of lame in my opinion, but really, role-playing wise, it's not lame at all for at any point. But in terms of battle capability, it grows exponentially for things that you can have the swarm do. I mean, the swarm can eventually make you get a flying speed. It acts as half cover when it's moving you. It attacks and does damage to your enemies. So a swarm keeper is actually really cool. And I know we already covered Beastmaster, but as a side note here, page 61, there's different types of beasts. If you chose a Beastmaster from the player's handbook, that you should be aware of. Beasts of the land, of the sky, and of the sea. So that might be something you might want to check out if you consider being a Beastmaster. Alright, so now we got to go ahead and pick Iggy out of background. So we go here to the player's handbook, and the backgrounds start here on page... Where's the page number? Of course, 127. There we go. Acolyte, nah. Spent life in the service of a temple or god. That doesn't sound like Iggy. Let's see. Charlatan, you've always had a way with people. No, that doesn't sound like Iggy either. Criminal, you're an experienced criminal with a history of breaking the law. You spent a lot of time among other criminals and still have contacts within the criminal underworld. I can actually see a lizard folk getting involved with a criminal enterprise unknowingly, just because they don't technically really totally understand the cultures, and so they could get in with the wrong people on accident. I could see that happening. Alright, next up we have Entertainer. You thrive in front of an audience. That doesn't seem like something Iggy or Lizard Folk would do. This is the one I think I'm going to go with. Folk Hero. You come from a humble social rank, but you're destined for so much more. Already the people of your home village regard you as their champion, and your destiny calls you to stand against the tyrants and monsters that threaten the common folk everywhere. That goes in with the lizard folk, that goes in with Iggy, and that goes in with being a ranger. We can say that Iggy saved his people from a rampaging. It has to be a low level monster, but something that would cause a good deal of damage to a small unguarded settlement. So we'll say that Iggy took them down, and his people reveal him as their champion because of that. So I think that's what we'll go with as Folk Hero. It works. Alright, so you can see here on page 131 of the player's handbook, for our skill proficiencies, we get animal handling and survival. So let's go ahead and mark those off on the character sheet that we are proficient in those. A lot of people in the party might be apprehensive about eating Iggy's cooking, so an iron pot would, for cooking as a tool set, wouldn't really work. Let's see, what else can we pick? Alright, so after you select your artisan's tools, which I just denoted here on the character sheet for you in the vehicle land, I denoted that as well. But after you select those, then you select a defining event, presuming you're going with the Folk Hero background. You can choose whatever background you wish to as well. This is just a guide to show you how. You could obviously use the character straight up if you want to. There's a few things that you do need to do, though. If you use my characters as your own, you have to go and look up the rest about your character. As I just give a brief synopsis, as this is just a level 1 character, but there's more ins and outs to the races and things like that than I explain in these videos, and I encourage you to check those out. All right, so there isn't a space on the character sheet for a defining event, but this is good to know for role playing purposes if you wish. You can skip it, but we'll go ahead and pick one. I save people during a natural disaster. Uh, Iggy, during a particularly large flood, like a flash flood, it rained a lot in a short period of time. A little girl, a little female lizard folk, was stuck on a piece of land that was had the floodwaters rapidly rising, and so she was in danger of drowning because she didn't know how to swim yet. And so Iggy went and he swam out to get her as he was, noticing the floodwaters coming in on his own area. And so he swam out and saved this little girl. So that's his defining event. And then this is good for roleplay purposes as well. Since you come from the ranks of the common folk, you fit in among them with ease. You can find a place to hide, rest, or recuperate among other commoners unless you have shown yourself to be a danger to them. They'll shield you from the law or anyone else searching for you, though they will not risk their lives for you. I can see a great deal of roleplay potential as a dungeon master with that. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and pick out the personality, bonds, and flaws. And then we're going to finish up with the saving throws and put the money in there for the starting equipment. And you'll be on your way. Alright, so we're going to pick for the personality trait. I judge people by their actions, not their words. Alright, so under ideals, we have people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. No one should get preferential treatment before the law, and no one is above the law. Tyrants must be allowed to oppress the people. Oh, tyrants must not be allowed to oppress the people. Oh, dear. If I become strong, I can take what I want, what I deserve. There's no good in pretending to be something I'm not. Nothing and no one can steer me away from my higher calling. How about we'll go with sincerity? There's no good in pretending to be something I'm not. All right, then for bonds, let's see. I have a family, but I have no idea where they are. One day I hope to see them again. I worked the land. I love the land. I'll protect the land. A proud noble once gave me a horrible beating, and I will take my revenge on any bully I encounter. My tools are symbols of my past life, and I carry them so that I will never forget my roots. I protect those who cannot protect themselves. I wish my childhood sweetheart come with me to pursue my destiny. My tools are symbols of my past life. That seems like a great one to use. So go ahead and pick tools that would be, if you're going with what I'm saying, pick tools that would be reminiscent of what your character did in his past life. All right, so we got that in there. Now let's go ahead and look at the flaws. The tyrant who rules my land will stop at nothing to see me killed. I'm convinced of the significance of my destiny and blind to my shortcomings and the risk of failure. The people who knew me when I was young know my shameful secret, so I can never go home again. I have a weakness for the vices of the city, especially hard drink. Secretly, I believe that things would be better if I were a tyrant lording over the land. I have trouble trusting my allies. I can see that one. I can see number 4 or number 6. I have trouble trusting my allies. That's what we'll go with. Alright, so real quick, the lizard folks AC, their natural AC is 13 plus their dex if they don't have any armor on. So we're just going to go ahead and give you your slick AC is 16 right now off the bat before you have any armor on. Now let's go ahead and do the saving throws and the skills, and then we'll put the starting gold, and the spells and things like that are up to you once you get them. Alright, so I filled out the proficiencies with your weapon proficiencies, your armor proficiencies, your languages. So let's go ahead and the saving throws are strength and dex, so we've marked those down already. We get to choose 3 skills from animal handling, athletics, insight, investigation, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. So you see that we have a few of these already from our backgrounds and from our race. And we filled those out. So let's go ahead and get the rest of these filled out. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to choose yet. All right, so what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So we have stealth and perception. We got those from being the lizard folk. And then the animal handling and survival are from the background. And so we're left with the choice of athletics, insight, investigation, nature, and that's it, because we already have all the other ones covered. So let's go with athletics and investigation. How about that? And if you want to do something with where, since they are a ranger out in the wilderness, if you want to pick nature instead, then you can go ahead and get rid of investigation or athletics and put it one of those in nature instead. All right, and then you see here the starting equipment. We get scale mail or leather armor. Well, I'm just reading these to you because I'm just going to go ahead and include the gold amount. But if you want to forego the gold amount, this is what you could get: scale mail or leather armor, 2 short swords or 2 simple melee weapons, a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack, a longbow, and a quiver of 20 arrows. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the gold value instead of that, but you can substitute, obviously. Here on page 143 of the player's handbook, you can see starting wealth by class. So we're going to go down to Ranger, and we get 5d4 times 10. So let's go ahead and roll that out now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll the 5d4 and just multiply it by 10. So we got 12. Okay, so 12 times 10, that's 120. So we're adding 120 gold to your character sheet. So 120 plus the 10 we get for our background gives us 130. Then the last thing we need to do is our saving throws and our skills. You don't get spells as a ranger until 2nd level, so I'm not going to cover that, but wisdom is your modifier. So for our saving throws, you just copy the bonuses over directly, but if you're proficient in it, then you add your proficiency bonus. So our strength is a 3, our dex is a 5, our constitution is just a 2 because we're not proficient, our intelligence is nothing, our wisdom is a 4, and our charisma is nothing. So then what I like to do for the skills to make it faster is I just go down the list so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So anything with strength gets the +1. We are proficient in athletics, so we add our proficiency bonus. And your proficiency bonus gets added to everything that you're proficient in. It's just one solid number. It's to make the math easier versus old editions where everybody was proficient in different things, which I thought was a lot better, but I can understand a lot of people not wanting to enter the hobby because of the math, and I think that's why they kind of got rid of. Anyway, let's keep going. All right, so and that's the only one. Athletics is the only one that uses strength. For dex, we're going to go ahead and add the 3 in for everything that is dex based. So acrobatics, stealth, sleight of hand, stealth, and we add our proficiency bonus, and then that's it for dex, right? Yep. So then constitution in 5th edition, there isn't one for constitution. So intelligence, we have nothing, so we just put a blank line unless we're proficient. History, investigation, we're proficient, so it's a 2. Nature, religion. Okay, and then we go to our wisdom is a 4, so we're proficient in animal handling, so that's a 6. Insight is a 4. Medicine, it's a 4. Perception, but we're proficient, so that becomes a 6. And then survival, and we're proficient, so that's a 6. So pretty nice stats there, for sure. All right, so everything else is charisma, and we don't have anything in charisma, so unless we're proficient, it's a 0. If we're proficient, it's a 2. Intimidation, performance, persuasion. And there we go. And there's your character sheet. And your passive perception would be your wisdom plus 10, so your passive is a 14. All right, and I think that's everything, because you're going to buy your weapons and things like that yourself. We'll go find those charts real quick for you so I can give you the page numbers. All right, so here is the armor table on page 145 of the player's handbook. You can see here it shows you the cost of the armor, then what you get for your AC, and then if you have a strength requirement, which is only for the heavier armors. And then if it gives you disadvantage for stealth, because some of them are heavy and bulky and some of them make a lot of noise. And then the weight. And a lot of DMs might not track weight anymore. You have to ask your DM if they do. In Resnium, I'm going to be tracking weight, but it's going to be tracked differently. I'll be talking about that here soon. So there you go. There's everything for you. There's Iggy. It's mostly completed for you. Of course, like I said, there's a few things that you want to go look at, and so you can write down your traits and things like that to remember it. And then there's certain abilities and things that you get for being a lizard folk that you want to go check out. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, then go ahead and leave a subscribe. Tell your friends about my channel. I have an upcoming system that I'm working on. I'll give more details as those arise, but I assure you that I'm spending absolutely as much time on this thing as I can, and there's going to be something for you to be able to actually play and work out here pretty soon. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. I appreciate you all. I have a Patreon that I just set up. It's not really set up all the way yet, but I have one. So if you're looking to donate, consider that in the future. Just keep that in mind for me. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.